Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Today we peel back the curtain on a training program that exploited the very fabric of 1960s social hierarchy. The setting is a high-stakes diplomatic gala in Geneva, 1965. The Soviet delegates are speaking freely, assuming the women serving drinks or taking dictation are invisible fixtures of the furniture. They were wrong. Those women were the elite graduates of a program designed to turn societal dismissal into a tactical advantage. They were sharp, they were lethal, and they were completely undetected. This is the story of Operation SCULLY. Why name a revolutionary female intelligence program SCULLY? The answer lies in the grim nature of the work. The name Operation SCULLY was a play on the word skull, specifically referring to the hollowing out of a previous identity to make room for a cover persona. The factual reason for the name was the program's emphasis on cranial retention, the ability to memorize vast amounts of technical data without the use of cameras or notes. It was a nod to the fact that these women were the brains of the operation, operating behind a mask of mid-century domesticity. The agency didn't just teach these women how to fire a gun, they taught them how to host the perfect dinner party. The training curriculum for SCULLY agents was unique in its focus on societal invisibility. Agents were trained in high society etiquette, shorthand, and multiple languages, often being placed in roles as executive assistants or embassy staff. A quote from a 1964 internal training memo: "The female operative possesses a unique advantage in the current geopolitical climate. She is frequently ignored by high-value targets, allowing for the collection of intelligence in environments where a male officer would be immediately scrutinized." End quote. Graduates were required to pass a stress etiquette exam where they had to maintain a complex cover story while being subjected to hours of intense interrogation disguised as a polite social interview. A quote from former CIA Director Richard Helms: "Our female officers often proved more resilient in the field because they understood the nuances of human behavior that our male counterparts frequently overlooked." End quote. The program developed specialized concealment devices specifically for women, including microphones hidden in lipstick tubes and cameras disguised as compact mirrors. A quote from the SCULLY graduation manifest: "The operative must remain a ghost in the machine. Her success is measured by the fact that the target never remembers her name, even as she dismantles his network." End quote. Operation SCULLY focused heavily on the social engineering of Soviet diplomats who were culturally conditioned at the time to speak openly in front of female staff. Agents were often trained in the art of micro-expression analysis, allowing them to read the true intentions of a target during casual conversation. One SCULLY graduate successfully maintained a cover for 3 years as the personal assistant to a high-ranking East German official, providing intelligence that led to the capture of several moles. The program was so successful that many of its training protocols were eventually integrated into the standard curriculum for all deep cover officers. The SCULLY method of memorization involved a technique called the method of Loki, where agents would mentally place stolen documents in rooms of a memory palace. By 1969, the program began exploring the use of female-fronted businesses, covert companies run by women to handle money laundering for agency operations. Records show that SCULLY graduates had a significantly higher survival rate in hostile territory compared to their male peers during the 1960s. The program officially ended in 1972, though historians argue it simply became too deeply integrated into the agency's core to remain a separate project. Training took place at a black site in Virginia, where the final exam involved a mock embassy party populated by real officers trying to blow the trainees' cover. A quote from the 1970 program review: "The efficiency of the SCULLY graduates in the European theater has rendered traditional eavesdropping equipment secondary to human observation." End quote. One agent was awarded a secret medal for preventing a nuclear-grade leak by simply misplacing a document she saw on a target's desk while emptying his ashtray. SCULLY agents were the primary source for target personal habits, which allowed the agency to predict travel and meeting times with 90% accuracy. When we look at the declassified files, the thickest black bars appear in certain documents, like the one titled Generational Continuity and Post-Active Influence. This file contains some of the most extensive redactions in the entire SCULLY archive, specifically the section on corporate board infiltration, which has seemingly vanished, and over 2,400 pages of executive legacy placement are also missing. Why is the agency hiding the career paths of these women after they left the field? Get ready for the theory of the ghost matriarchs. Speculation suggests Operation SCULLY agents are still running the world's major corporations from the shadows. This theory claims the redactions in the post-service tracking logs hide the fact that the agency intentionally moved these women into the highest ranks of Fortune 500 companies. They argue the 2,400 missing pages describe a shadow government where female CEOs are actually agency assets controlling the global economy. Some imagine the 2,400 redacted pages having something to do with a family unit surveillance, which hides a deeper social experiment. This theory argues the agency placed SCULLY agents in marriages with powerful politicians to act as liaisons. They claim the redactions describe a 2026 reality where the spouses of world leaders are the ones actually receiving the morning intelligence briefings. Theorists looking at the blacked out asset inheritance protocols argue the SCULLY program is hereditary. They claim the redactions hide a program where the daughters of the original agents are activated upon reaching a certain age, and the 2,400 pages are a genealogical map of the women currently holding the keys to the world's largest banks. Gossip suggests the black bars in the social intelligence section hide the creation of a digital agent. This theory posits the agency used the behavioral data of SCULLY graduates to train a 2026 AI that now manages all diplomatic communications, ensuring every word is perfectly socially engineered. Rumor says the cultural event manipulation redactions hide evidence that the agency still controls every major gala and summit guest list. They claim the redactions prove that high society is a carefully constructed theater designed by the remnants of the SCULLY program to keep world leaders in a state of controlled social distraction. Some believe the redacted pages hide a program where charity organizations are used as the primary front for SCULLY operations. They claim the redactions describe a method where aid workers are actually deep cover agents using soft power to topple regimes under the guise of humanitarian work. Speculation persists that the redactions have to do with administrative access logs, which would prove the agency still has a SCULLY agent in every major government office. They claim the redacted pages are the transcripts of invisible women in 2026 who are still memorizing documents from the safes of people who think they are alone in the room. Fringe gossip argues the redacted sections describe smart clothing developed for the SCULLY descendants. This theory claims the agency uses the fashion industry to distribute biometric sensors and high-end jewelry, allowing them to track the heart rates and stress levels of anyone attending a diplomatic event. Whispers from the dark web suggest the redacted pages hide financial sovereignty files, which prove that the SCULLY program has its own independent currency. They They claim the redacted pages are the ledgers for a secret wealth fund that is larger than the GDP of several nations, used exclusively to fund female-led intelligence operations. A wild theory claims the missing pages describe a social score system used to vet world leaders. They claim the SCULLY graduates determine who is civilized enough to be allowed to stay in power, and those who fail the stress etiquette test are quietly removed through accidental scandals. Conspiracy enthusiasts argue that the genetic memory mapping redactions hide the CIA's secret that they have found a way to download the training of original SCULLY agents into their granddaughters using advanced neural links, creating an army of perfect-born spies. Lastly, some whispers suggest the redactions are so heavy because they prove the SCULLY program eventually overthrew its own creators. This theory posits that in the current day and age, the invisible operatives have become the masters of the agency itself, and the 2,400 pages are the new rules of a world they have already conquered. Was Operation SCULLY a success? Tactically, it was a paradigm shift. It proved that the most effective intelligence isn't gathered through force, but through the careful manipulation of social expectations. It turned being ignored into a superpower. Strategically, it was a masterstroke. It provided the agency with access to the most private rooms of the Cold War. As the files suggest, the invisible operative didn't just win battles, she rewrote the rules of the game. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the invisible operative led to breakthroughs that redefined modern espionage, such as social engineering doctrine, the first formal protocols for using social norms as a tool for infiltration, cranial retention training, advanced techniques for memorizing visual data that served as the foundation for modern mental encryption, sub-miniature concealment, developing tech that hides electronics within everyday luxury items, and camouflage behavioral analysis, the science of acting to be ignored, now used by special forces for urban blending. Operation SCULLY reminds us that the most dangerous person is often the one you choose not to see. As the files reveal, some spies don't need a mask to hide. They just need a notebook and a polite smile. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine MK Ultra Subproject 47. In the labs of the agency, scientists work to perfect the chemical dart. We'll uncover the vanishing toxin blueprints, the trace-free delivery manifest, and the moment the world realized that the most efficient assassin is the one whose weapon disappears into the bloodstream. Join us next time for the dissolving death. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.